Wake your ass up.
Or take a damn nap.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have.
It's time.
Sean, you were twerking. That's going to happen.
Murph, don't be a dick all your life.
It's one of the more fun podcasts I've ever done.
Hey, I tell you what, if you're not talking about sports in the man cave, I better not say you not a man.
That's it.
Travis Duke, I think it's a sign that you've hit a huge lifetime achievement when you have a video open of some of your major life moments. I mean, will this go on if you have a digital resume, what you just saw?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Whenever you said we put a number to it on how many pictures I could send, I found myself looking long and hard at a photo album, about 2,000 of them, trying to narrow down what specifically do I need to add to this?
I liked them all. Now I have a question. So
Sure.
the photo app on your phone, it tells you how many photos and videos you have. I may or may not tell you how many. I don't know how it happened, but a rough estimate, how many photos and videos do you have on your phone app, your photo app right now?
If I had to guess, I could pull it out and give you a real answer. But if I had to guess, it'd be over 2,000, probably likely.
Right.
Because I mean, I'm a man. I don't delete next to anything. If we use my phone whenever the wife and I go on a date night and 15 photos get taken on it, well, they just stay there.
Yeah,
that's it. I haven't run into storage problems yet on my phone, so we're still both 2 thumbs up. All good here.
Well, I'm going to go. I have you beat just because of what I used to do. So I'm like you. A lot of those are still on my phone, and I looked at that number, and I'm thinking, oh man, what a task that'll be to go back and try to delete or storage. But God, man, I appreciate you, Travis Duke, former Longhorn pitcher. We're going to talk about his life, just baseball. We're going to get his takes on a few items. And before we get that started, we got to give a shout out. And you see the 2 sponsor links right here. Honest AC and Plumbing, both of which have those great marketing slogans. Honest AC and Plumbing, where a handshake still means something, and Hargrove Roofing. It really makes sense. Know who's on your roof. There's a lot of people, not going to name names. Sometimes you really don't know. And then before you find out, you feel like you made a mistake possibly with who you chose. So, and if you weren't aware, my name's Sean Clinch, and the host of Stories Inside the Man Cave. Now, Travis, he was a bullpen pitcher, and he owns a significant number. But I want to get your take, Travis. What really goes on down in that bullpen? Because I know I've seen some things that from when you played through back in my younger years, that's where all the fun is. If there was an epicenter of fun at a baseball game, is it safe to say that it's the bullpen?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll couple that with, it also depends on where the bullpen is located in the stadium. I'm no longer playing, so I can come out and hear it. And some current players might want to wring my neck after I give that answer. But if bullpen is near the dugout, it is a lot more focus, let's just say. If the bullpen is out behind right field, as it is in UFCU Disch-Falk Field, a little bit more fun can happen.
Because you are guarded and protected, but due to LHN, you've got cameras all over.
Yes, absolutely. You definitely have to be careful. Now, they are phenomenal at what they do. It is not a hot mic or live mic by any means. And they're phenomenal at editing out anything that shouldn't be captured out in the bullpen. And there's nothing outlandish going on. More so just, I would compare it to a long road trip across the state of Texas. You've got to do something to clear your mind or something to entertain yourselves. And this is back 20 years ago when cell phones and streaming were not a thing. So some playing some mind games like, okay, let's think of brands of gas stations, go, and we'll go down the line and each one name one, and whenever you can't think of one, you're out. And then when that person gets eliminated, we come up with a new one, like, okay, flavors of soda, keep going. And just time savers, just time passers. And then that usually goes on the first few innings, barring the situation of the game. But depending on what role you're serving in the bullpen, if you're early and long relief, if you're a closer, if you're a mid relief guy to a setup role like I was, approximately when the game is getting to an area where, okay, I need to flip that switch, I need to hone in a little bit, because that phone could ring at any minute.
Right.
And now, more often than not, that phone doesn't ring and say, okay, 30-minute warning, you've got time to get loose. Most of the time it's, we need you in yesterday. So get moving.
Stop the bleeding at the plate.
Absolutely. Clean. You are the janitor. Bring the mop out to the mound and clean up the inning.
Well, I'm going to show you, for those who are maybe new to this podcast, or you remember his name, and maybe you're in other parts of the country, you've heard of UT baseball. Of course you have if you've followed college baseball. But this is kind of like Travis's achievements as a Longhorn as they slowly come up. And we're going to pull my name off. But I like this. At the time when you exhausted your eligibility, you had the second most appearances as a UT pitcher. I would venture to say that still it remains true. 116 appearances in games. And I think you were only second to the Austin Wood, who pitched 1 million innings in one game one time.
The Longhorn legend. I'm second place to Austin Wood, and he was actually my grad assistant pitching coach my freshman year. So I had a relationship with him. And the day after our season ended, my senior year, where that number was solidified at 116 and it would not go up another game, he texted me and said, "Nice try."
You came close.
Came very close. The record is 118, set by Longhorn legend Austin Wood.
Wow. Only two. Which do you, the reason why I know people will say 6 strikeouts is not a lot, but it is a lot considering that opponent. When you consider, regardless of your conference, they're rivals. SEC, Big 12, those Texas and A&M matchups. How was that different as a player opposed? Because all Big 12 back when you played, the Big 12 has always been loaded.
Oh, absolutely. And playing for a blue chip storied franchise and university like the University of Texas, no matter who you play, whether it's a Tuesday night game against a non-conference opponent or anybody within the Big 12, or in this case, a rival that is no longer with the Big 12, you're going to get everybody's best. We garner a lot of hatred, I should say, or a lot of burning fuel to beat us within our opponents. So it amps up the pressure and amps up the intensity that much more whenever we get to face a rival that we don't get to play year in and year out, or
Right.
season in and season out. This particular outing against A&M was actually in a regional game with a trip to Omaha on the line. And while six strikeouts is not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, that was in 3 1/3 innings of relief work, which at the time was my longest stint out of the bullpen. I believe I want to say in my career at Texas, I was a very short relief guy. I'd come in situations and close out an inning. But yeah, it was a phenomenal game. We actually ended up losing that game, and by 1 run. And then the next game was in 2014 when Chad Hollingsworth went out and threw a complete game and just dominated the Aggies, and we got to end their season to go to a super regional. So you talk about a sweet win. Getting to not only play against a rival that we haven't played in a long time, beat them and in their season with that victory.
Was that in Houston or College Station?
That was in Houston at Reckling Park.
Okay. Yeah, Rice. And it's all coming back to me. Have you talked to – I haven't heard from Hollingsworth in a long time.
Mm-hmm. I kept in, we haven't talked in a good while, but we kept in touch for years after we graduated. And last I heard, he had moved back out to Waco and was living out near his hometown. And because he's from Robinson, just outside of Waco, living out there, working, doing very well, and coaching on the side. I feel like that's a common theme for us guys that didn't quite make the stretch to professional ball. We got to stay in tune somehow, and more often than not, that's bringing up the next generation of
Right.
baseballers.
Right. So for all the, you talk about that transition. That's a perfect segue. So right now, I mean, you had a great baseball career. It is very productive, but there are certain people in our lives that have influenced us in ways. But first off, tell the folks what you're doing now. I mean, post college and post college baseball career.
So like like a lot of student athletes right out of college, I was struggling to find my way initially on kind of what I wanted to do. I ended up taking a role in outside sales right out of college because being a student athlete and having a structured schedule and having that constant urge to compete was still very much alive and well within me and still is to this day. So I wanted to go into a career path where I could exercise that on a daily basis. But it was an adjustment where I had to start holding myself accountable versus I have a nice sheet of paper printed out with my schedule for an entire day and I just had to get there. But I started off in the construction field working for a floor covering manufacturer in Austin for about a year and a half, took a promotion within that same company to move up to Dallas, did that for about 7 years, and I've since moved into a very similar role, completely separate industry, into the IT and technology industry, working for a Fortune 500 reseller of software, hardware, cybersecurity, storage, anything under the sun.
No, that's a great industry. I know it's discouraging at the moment because there have been some layoffs in the tech industry, but you are weathering the storm, man, and I'm really proud of you. I had to ask you, I don't know, is this an accurate statement here on the end of your slug right here? You prefer Natty Light?
I prefer the cost of it. I definitely do. And living in Texas my entire life, it's still about the only brand that you can get in a 30 pack. So absolutely, absolutely.
So everybody loves to talk about, Texas has a ton of legends, tons of legendary stories, coaches. There haven't been many coaches at all.
Mhm.
From Bibb Falk, Billy Dish to Coach Gus, and then your coach, Augie Garrido.
Mm.
We lost him a few years ago, but as being a professional outside of baseball, do you still remember or hear that voice and anything he says that just randomly appears in your head to maybe give you a laugh, but motivate you or make you really just see the simplicity of achieving something?
Yes, yes, and yes. I remember and still hear his voice in my head, an array of things. A lot of it because a lot of the teammates and colleagues that I played with and still keep in touch with from my Texas days. We keep his memory alive through those very quotes and through those very sayings. And some of them make us laugh, and some of them fuel us, and others are kind of what I call bathroom mirror quotes, where you've got them written down, and you look at them kind of as affirmations. Like what the most common one, it's in the dugout at the dish now. The world treats winners a lot differently than
Yeah.
it treats losers. And he didn't mean that in any kind of degrading way, other than it is a mindset. You choose what you want to do and what you want to be and how you want to act every day. It's one of the few things you can control.
Mm-hmm. That's the absolute truth, and in a way, you know how society and the world it's always evolving. Right now, we're in a era which I think it's closing, to which you and I, all of us can easily offend somebody,
Absolutely.
and we have no intentions of that. So that applies to that. I think that's what I apply it
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
Work hard, do the right thing. We're in control. Well, one thing Augie was good at was, as you know, was instilling humor when it needed to be.
Yep.
One of your former teammates, Ben Johnson, from here in Austin. He was a great quarterback at Westwood High School. When I was planning for our episode, it's amazing how things automatically present themselves when you're looking. And I had no intentions of this being part of the content today, but it was too good. And I think I know what you're talking. You think I'm pretty sure you know what I'm about to play.
Absolutely.
This is about Ben Johnson. He played left field. This no more of me talking about it. This is Augie on Ben Johnson.
Started out of a football player playing baseball with great physical skills. He's the fastest guy on the team, the strongest guy on the team, the hardest working guy on the team. And he likes to think he's the best looking guy on the team. So, he's the whole package. He's, what's the quarterback for the Patriots? Brady? Yeah, he's like that guy, What else is there? I've got it all. I just have everything, And now I just won the Super Bowl. So what else is there?
Oh, unbelievable.
So at some point, we're going to have Ben on here, and I'll give him a chance to defend himself. He and his family, great people.
Absolutely.
So is that fairly true, Ben? He's what Augie said about him, because I can imagine a lot of that is true in a humorous kind of way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. The only thing that I would attest to is if you talk to Ben, he doesn't walk around or carry himself like he thinks he's the best looking in the room, but he knows every day of the week, especially back in our heyday on the ball field, he's the best athlete on the field. This is not a fabrication at all. Our freshman year, we were running 60-yard dashes, and somehow I drew the short straw, and we were going two at a time. And I ran next to Ben Johnson, and he actually tweaked his hamstring halfway through and finished, and still beat me. Like he kind of felt a tweak, and he did grab the back of the leg and hobble the remaining, I think, 30 or like 20 or 30 yards, and he still beat me.
Oh,
just an absolute supreme athlete, dedicated to his craft, extremely hard worker. I can only assume that that's translated into his life post baseball, and just a phenomenal human being.
He's a good guy.
Absolutely.
Great teammate. I would love to have his travel itinerary, by the way.
Oh,
yeah. He's landed a pretty nice little gig.
Absolutely.
And it's I feel like his passport is probably half full of stamps.
Mm-hmm.
I think you and I are. I don't know if we'll ever catch up with him.
Oh, I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. Hey, my car's odometer is running up higher as the years goes on, but the passport's not getting stamped as much.
Nor is mine. Hey, real quick, just a reminder for those of you watching either on Facebook, YouTube, we appreciate you, but you can also check us out on 1049 The Horn FM.com. You can, on that app right there, just go to 104hornfm.com. Scroll all the way down. You'll see this orange and white box that says podcast. It's kind of not arrogant, but very cocky looking. And you click podcast. We're about the 7th one. We're not last, but you can click on it and see all these episodes and see Travis Duke's mug whenever you feel like it on the Horn app. So that's pretty encouraging. Before we go on with something that I think is special to your life, I got to get your take on the current Longhorns. And I picked one word, patience. And I put question mark. Is that an accurate way to approach this team? Or am I just being a little too much of a fanboy?
Absolutely. I will couple that word patience with another word that I believe summarizes the program, potential. And maybe a third in promise. Because us at the University of Texas, any sport at the university, the fan base, the programs themselves, the players that come in, we've come to expect winning, and winning at the highest level every season, and to where when you finish second, it's not good enough. When you make it to Omaha 2 years in a row, one of those years making it to the semifinal, it's still not good enough. What the only thing it's a pass fail mentality. Passing is winning a national championship and failing is not. So when you have a team as young as this one and inexperienced, I mean, you can have the most storied blue chip 5-star prospect out of high school with the most gaudy stat line, no matter where he is on the field. Ultimately, one, it's a team sport, and two, it's a different speed and a different game at the next level. And you couple all of that in experience with the fact that baseball is a game of failure and only one of the only games in this world where you can do everything right and still fail. That takes a toll on you mentally as well as the inexperience physically. So I haven't by any means written this program or written this team off this year. We have a big battle tonight against LSU. We came out of Arlington battered and bruised the first weekend, but the team really said a lot about their resiliency, the way they rebounded against Indiana and came out and took the series there. Just grit, determination, and ultimately this team's going to have a new identity from the teams of the last 2 or 3 years. There's not going to be as much power.
Dan, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I thought it was telling that I think there's accountability that, David Pierce, and he has 2 new coaches on that staff.
Absolutely.
And both of them were, Woody Williams. I mean, all about him. I mean, great career, coached at San Jack. But I think Coach Pierce said something that really caught my attention. He wasn't criticizing the team after Sundays. It was how they lost. It was like a complete loss of focus on execution. And that's how cruel the game of baseball can be, because if one person is not dialed in, it trickles down to others.
Absolutely.
But he said that may have been the worst game he's seen in his coaching career as far as execution.
And you know who that reminds me of? That reminds me of Augie Garrido. If you look at the stat line of that game, the Horns took a loss 4-2. When Pierce says that might have been one of the worst games that I have been a part of or coached, and it's a 4-2 loss, that shows you how analytical and how high of expectations that he holds these players to, not from a results-oriented standpoint, but from a controlling what you can control. That's another Augieism that I've kept with me my entire life.
I love it, Travis.
You can only control 3 things. You can control your attitude, your effort level, and your response to adversity or failure. And all 3 of those things really hone in on what Pierce was saying: a lack of focus, a lack of determination or grit whenever things are going your way and you're experiencing failure. So I think that's very telling and very promising to me as a former player and fan in the way Pierce responded to that. Because if he truly believed that this team was in a rebuild year, which most people want to say Texas is in right now, I don't think he would be holding these kids to such a high standard, because he expects excellence because he knows what they're capable of, that potential level.
No, that's a great point. I didn't think about that. I didn't. Yeah. So there are expectations. He's not being patient towards growth. Let's get this fixed now. You're here for a purpose. Well, all right. We had our weekend of learning in Arlington. Now let's play ball.
Against 3 phenomenal opponents, I might add.
Yeah. 3 teams which have won or played for a national championship. That's unbelievable. So, for you personally, I want to bring up a graphic here. And this is fairly new, and I would not call it adversity. I would call it a change toward greatness. Did you, by any chance, the saying that people, and I've been told this before, you put a ring on it. In football terms, I was told before with my ex-wife and a recent lady friend that I outkicked my coverage. What's outkicking coverage in baseball terms?
Outkicking coverage in baseball terms?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the correct euphemism, how I would describe it, not in a clever way, but just in an analytical way, because that's how my mind works. I compare that to me being a lefty, getting underneath a breaking ball, floating it belt high right down the middle, and the batter somehow still swinging and missing at it.
I love
Sheer,
it.
sheer under execution on my end, but sheer and total luck.
Hey, congrats to you and Mackenzie. How
Thank you.
many? How long have you guys been married now?
We got married October 15th of this past year, but
Yeah,
we've been together a little right around 4 years now altogether.
y'all are perfect. That's when I look at a perfect. Let's say if there was a magazine for young married couples on the model couple, that's it right. No, that's it on the left.
I was about to say, you probably crop out the big guy in the orange pants, and then it would be more model-esque. But yeah, I'm definitely out kicking my coverage, out punching my weight class, whatever euphemism you want to call.
Oh, that's great. And if I don't know if you'll appreciate this invitation, but follow these two or Travis on Instagram. They bring the fun to life on their little adventures in life wherever. Yeah, they're good, and yeah, it's if you want a long successful marriage, follow what these two are doing. And I know it's been. I don't want to jinx anything. I don't see any of that. But those first of all, I love the suit in the middle. Great choice. Was that kind of burnt orange at all, or what was it? What were you going for?
So marriage is all about compromise.
Correct.
And I am as you could tell from the wardrobe choice and the pictures presented, I am not a subtle fashion subtle man in anything that I wear. So for the wedding had envisioned wearing a burnt orange suit, and it actually, I thought it aligned with the color palette that my wife had
Right.
picked out for the
Right.
wedding. Somewhat. So when we went in, looked at the colors of suits, I wanted burnt orange. She said, absolutely not. We have a lot of other days in our lives to wear burnt orange. The wedding may not be one of them, but we found a color called burnt peach. And initially, she had wanted a peach colored suit. So I thought that was a wonderful compromise between peach and burnt orange. Ended up being burnt peach.
I like it.
And I'll tell you what, when it's a hot day outside and you're wearing a suit and the sweat lines start to show, it'll turn burnt orange. We tested that theory the day of the wedding.
Well, I think it's a great choice.
Thank you.
It was October. So it's kind of spring like in October.
We just drew a very lucky card, and it was a beautiful sunny day. But within the week prior and the week following, it was anywhere from 45 to 65 in that realm, and it just so happened to be 85 to 90 the day of our wedding. Absolutely beautiful, very little clouds in the sky, made for wonderful pictures after the photographer went ahead and edited out the sweat stains on the old burnt peach suit.
Man, I need that photographer because every time, I'd say 9 months out of the year, if it's outdoors, I am pitting.
Oh, she is doing the Lord's work out here,
Ye-
helping big sweaty men getting married look good.
Well, you guys are a perfect looking couple.
Thank you.
I like those photos. And, speaking of weddings and other big events, I think this next segment will help all of us men.
Sure.
I pushed the wrong, sorry. Duke, are you a manscaped.com user?
I 110% am. I have the full, I forget what the box is called that
Yeah.
comes with anything and everything. Have subscribed, got him in the shower, I got the tools in the drawer. I mean, when you say if they had frequent flyer miles or points to use, I would definitely be in the platinum level subscription.
I'm very impressed by that. And so they have an entirely new I almost said wardrobe, but a new line of products. I'm waiting on them, by the way. It's not all about below the belt. They got the beard kit. As Travis, he must maintain the beard follicles. I can't do that because it looks as if, I hate to use the word homeless, but it looks like a guy who's addicted to not addicted, but drinks very cheap bourbon every day and smokes honeysuckle vines and lives out in the streets.
Very,
That's
very,
what,
very pirate-esque.
yeah,
You're looking for?
not a
Yeah.
good look on me if I try to grow a beard.
Little patchy, little patchwork beard.
Gray.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got a
So,
little more salt than pepper now in the beard.
salt than pepper. It looks more like the pink Himalayan salt. It's pretty bad. Not like the burnt peach, but very, very similar. So you know all too well this sound. Yes, sir. What are we gonna do?
Which sometimes could come with a following sound of "ow," but not with that.
No, because you can use these in the shower. This is the Lawnmower 4.0. They're about to bring out another generation. Lawnmower 4.0, as Travis Duke knows all too well. You can use in the shower. It does the job. And I know as men, we don't have a lot of patience when we're on the go, in the shower especially. But anywhere. Face,
Nor are we ever prepared. Let's just say that.
no, not at all. And our better halves, or in this case, Mackenzie, for you, they would prefer us not to look like the German Black Forest below the belt.
Very true. Can attest. Can confirm. We're talking a lot about secrets of a happy marriage. Can confirm. That's a Texas size 10-4, Sean.
Yes, it is. So, if you want to be like Travis Duke and myself, and just take care, just give yourself some self-love. Go to manscaped.com. Use the promo code MANCAVE20, all one word, for 20% off. It's well worth it. So, since the second segment's very short, this is how we like to end these first segments. The Man Cave story brought to you by Jim Saxton, State Farm Insurance Agency. Former Longhorn football player, and his dad was a Heisman finalist at UT as well, legacy. And for all your insurance needs, give Jim Saxton a shout. New office on South Lamar, by the way. You got off of Riverside, but the guy it makes you feel like you're talking to Travis Duke, just laid back and, like you've known each other for 38 years. But Man Cave story. Is there one story that you, your wife, or your guys, your former teammates, anybody that you like to tell that makes you laugh or everyone else laugh just like it did the first time it happened? There's so many.
That's the part that's the thing I'm running into. Very, very difficult. I could go to stories in the bullpen. I could go to talks in the bullpen. I could go to talks in the pregame huddle. I will hone in on one, and it is a testament to Mr. Augie Garrido.
Beautiful.
So this was following a practice, and Augie was well known for being a Confucius style mind in baseball, a guru of the mental side of the game. And with that, we mentioned earlier, focus was a massive pillar in Augie's game plan and in his focus or in his mental baseball regime. So we were in a post meeting or post practice huddle. And you want to talk about action speaking louder than words. Augie was giving a post-game speech, and there was a horsefly that would rival the width of a quarter buzzing around all of us. And you would have thought we were in kindergarten, just turning, looking, swatting, hands going up, hats coming off. That lasted for about 2 minutes, and then that fly found Augie Garrido. And it did not leave him alone. In this post-practice speech, the speeches tend to go a little long because we diagnosed a lot. all beneficial, all helpful. But for about 10 minutes, which 10 minutes of watching a horse-sized horsefly fly around somebody's face seems like an eternity. And we got into this cycle of watching it buzz, find a place, land on his face, walk walk a little bit, and then fly off. And he wouldn't swat at it, he wouldn't flinch, he wouldn't interrupt his sentence. A couple times it would come dangerously close to his mouth. We thought he was going to inhale it for a second. Then finally, after 10 minutes of the speech going by, and he got to the end of it, he kind of smirked at everybody. Very shy, sly grin, just like he did in that video earlier you played when he was talking about Ben Johnson. He said, "Boy, this fly thought I was a real piece of shit, didn't I?" And we all erupted in laughter. He said exactly what we all were thinking. And he had this innate ability to be hysterically funny when he was just trying to get a chuckle out of you. So that's one story that I always think back on every time a fly or a gnat or a mosquito buzzes around my face, which in the state of Texas happens all too often during spring and summer. I think back to my beloved coach at the University of Texas, Mr. Augie Garrido. May he rest in peace.
May you rest in peace. That's the one thing that we will all miss. Those Augieisms, but it carries on through you guys, his former players, and I'm sure you'll never look at another dragonfly the same ever.
Never.
Because I believe in those instances when you see a dragonfly, you wonder, is that Coach Garrido?
Oh, especially when it's flying around my face for 10 minutes. Whatever I'm doing, I immediately think maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing because I think he's warning me to stop.
He's still watching.
Absolutely.
There's no doubt.
Absolutely.
Hey, buddy, we're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
And we're going to talk about, on the other side, some humor and, well, a serious topic, which I don't know if it's an adjustment or it's destroying baseball. That's coming up on the other side of this break.
Hi, I'm Stevie Lee, former defensive tackle for the University of Texas.
And I'm Clyde Hargrove. I'm a roofer.
I also saw action in 52 games.
And I fix a lot of roofs.
Also won a Rose Bowl and never lost to A&M.
And I fix a lot of roofs, right, Stevie?
Oh, right. I'm sorry, I zoned out a little bit.
So are you going to say that thing about Hargrove Roofing?
Hargrove Roofing. Know who's on your roof.
Is this even going to work as a commercial?
And that is a pitch timer violation.
Automatic strike three called with the bases loaded in a tie game in the bottom of the ninth. This is baseball in 2023.
Travis Duke, you pitched a long time. So I'm all about changes and evolving with time. Baseball's a little bit different because change is not welcomed. Your thoughts on the pitch clock? I know they've been doing it and implementing it in minor leagues for what, 3 or 4 seasons, as experimental and toying around with people. What's your thoughts on it? Are we just seeing people acclimate to it, or do you think it's going to stick with Major League and college?
Well, this is something that I've been thinking long and hard about. I've been talking a lot with friends that share the passion and love for the game that I do, because I kind of take a two-pronged approach to it as a spectator and as a player. As a player, I always worked very fast on the mound, so I don't believe that it ever would have come into play for me personally, but with it being enforced against the hitters as well,
Right.
I'm also a big proponent of everybody having their own consistent mental routine or physical routine prior to towing the rubber or stepping in the box. And as a spectator, I understand watching a game on television, generating more ratings. You want to speed up the game, but essentially, I don't want to go too off base here, but I feel like the more and more we try to implement these changes, the more we're taking away the artistry and the nuances that make baseball what it is. Baseball as a player and a hardcore spectator or avid spectator would agree with me on this. Baseball isn't made on plays after the pitch is delivered. It's made in between those pitches. That's where the most beautiful aspects of baseball transpire, in my opinion. It's an art form of diagnosing game plans. It's an art form of shifting, which is a whole nother thing that we could talk about. But as far as the pitch count and pitch clock goes, I believe it will stick since they've implemented it in the major leagues. It's very hard for them. It's going to be very hard for them to double back because once it gets to that, if it was in the minor leagues and they just washed it after a couple seasons, no worse for the wear. But in the majors, it's going to take a lot for them to kick it. And my personal grievance with it is any changes that you want to make that improve the quality for players, the safety of players, increasing the size of a base for players to have a wider base to stand on, step on, try to mitigate and decrease injuries to keep the players that we all know and love on the field for longer. I'm all for.
Right.
But as far as the pitch clock goes, solely meant to generate ratings, and they can say whatever they want on trying to appeal to a wider demographic. I don't consider baseball a dying sport at all. And I think a lot of people will agree with me, but long story short, I can understand why they're doing it. I don't agree or like it personally.
Now, I'm right there with you. If they're going to do it, let's 15, 20 seconds is nothing. If you're going to do that, add more time. You get 40 seconds on a play clock in college football.
Yep.
Okay. So you talk about a sport, which in the Big 12, for example, those games are too long. How about a 30 to 40 seconds if we're going to do this? If that's what we're going to adopt and go with, okay, I applaud the efforts. Doesn't mean that I agree with it as far as the integrity of the game, because it does take away from the integrity of the game or how it's meant to play.
Yep.
That's why they play innings. There's no times. It's get 3 outs per half inning or 6 outs per inning, and let's move on.
Absolutely.
See how many people can hit the ball 30% of the time.
And I firmly believe there are ways to mitigate that time or to speed up the game without altering the game. One of them being maybe let's not have 4 or 5 minute commercial breaks in between every timeout and every pitch. Not saying we cannot have advertisements and great corporations can't put their name, their logo out there. It's what our country was founded on.
Right.
But
capitalism.
But mitigating that just a little bit to a couple minutes, or maybe not breaking away just for a pitching change or a timeout, could save a ton of time. It could save a lot of time, and it could keep a lot of viewers a little bit more engaged, because as we're moving forward into streaming culture, our patience for commercials and advertisements is growing thinner and thinner. So you want to talk about generating ratings and keeping those ratings, that potentially could be one, but I'm just a lowly washed up baseball player. I don't know too much.
Well, it's a valued opinion, and I think
Absolutely.
collectively, you think of all the little nuances that are within a game that halts play.
Absolutely.
If you eliminate or shorten those, it all adds up over 9 innings. It really does.
Absolutely. And I would argue that the time that you saved, or think you saved, by enforcing the pitch clock, by the time the umpire makes that call, steps out, informs everybody of the call, both coaches come out of the dugout in frustration, we have burned about 3 and 4 times the amount of time if we just would have let him go through an extra 5 minutes of warming up or tightening his batting gloves, or the pitcher tossing the rosin a little bit before he steps on the mound. If it stays here, and this is where the game goes from here, it's not going to alter my perception. I'm still going to be an avid baseball fan my entire life. But my only hesitation is where does the change end? Where does it stop from here?
That's a valid concern that I did not even consider. How about we start worrying about the game and start marketing to a younger age?
Mm-hmm.
Marketing is key. These kids, young kids, it doesn't always have to be about travel ball young. There's ways. RBI Austin, kind of biased there, but think about those organizations and what we do for. There you go.
Absolutely.
Hey, Trav, tell all your friends, tell your wives, your husbands, your brothers, your cousins, uncles, everybody, subscribe to us on our YouTube and Facebook pages. So, Trav, you lived in Austin for quite some time. You know all about the El Arroyo signs. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to call it a fart fact. This is this one really, El Arroyo and their marquees, examples of pure brilliance, mm-hmm. including this one. I think there's some truth to that.
I would agree wholeheartedly. I would say it also could be a fart is a song your butt sings.
It sometimes, you know what? I think that a fart is a example of how talented one sphincter truly is,
and how upset one's stomach and or colon is. Could be very telling. There's a lot of times we turn into nurses and doctors whenever we hear a friend fart. We say that didn't sound good. You may want to check on that.
Diagnoses. Diagnoses. God, look at me in the health field, and so most people say diagnosis. I just wanted to point that out. Things change you.
It's diagnoses.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
there's two different ways.
You learn something new every day.
So I wonder if a baritone fart, is that healthy?
Ooh, it depends on what you ate the night before, I guess. Because that could be a very telling time too. Force equals mass times acceleration.
Energy.
Absolutely.
Good job, El Arroyo, and to everyone who follows it and buys their books and their coasters and everything involved. They are, God, those never get old.
They do not. And to top it off, great food, great drinks, phenomenal atmosphere in the heart of one of the best cities, if not the best city in the world, in my non-biased opinion.
Hey, you don't even have to be humble. Travis Duke's humble. He now I will say he has quite a sense of humor. He's holding back a little today. That's all right. It's the end of a work day. I get it. I completely get it. So we do this thing called TikToking in the man cave, and you know all about this, some of the garbage out there. But we do this series with Tess Sawyer. She's a 2-time UT graduate and a pretty intelligent girl, but she and I share sick humor, stuff that's sometimes humor. We do a series on here called Tuesdays with Tess. But I cleaned it up for you, Trev. I found a clean TikTok. And this is a couple. This woman does it really good. She likes to get 80s music or any type of music and does the dance to it. Now, granted, I think they're Gen Xers, like maybe early 40s. And she just blank stares at her husband. Keep that in mind, how she's dancing. She crushes this. And she's doing it to Vanilla Ice's, he was a one-hit wonder. And this is what I'm talking about.
You didn't have to even say the song title. It was already playing in my head.
Word to your mother.
Turn off the lights, and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance, rush the speaker that booms. I'm killing your brain like a poisonous mushroom. Deadly, when I play a dope melody. Anything less than the best is a felony. Love it or leave it, you better gain weight. You better hit the bullseye, the kid don't play. And if there was a problem, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while my DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby.
It's the unwavering facial expression for me. Not even a smile cracked on her face the entire time. Coupled with the serious dance moves. I mean,
Talent.
Serious talent. I mean, Vanilla Ice would be proud.
He would. And I think there's a chance. There's two things I noticed this, and I just thought of the second one. Number one, I think she could have been a background dancer in Vanilla's music videos back in the day, possibly. You know,
with those facial expressions, I mean, I would dare say acting could be in her future as well, because something that humorous or doing that kind of that kind of silliness and fun, not even to crack a smile. I mean, I can't do that no matter how much money you try to pay me. I mean,
well, the second part I just thought, something tells me that there's something similar to that on a daily basis in the Duke household.
But it would be funny. I'd be remiss to say it's roles reversed though in the Duke household. You don't want to see it. Thankfully, we're not TikTok people in recording ourselves, but yes, there are a lot of fun times. I'm the annoying one. She is the annoyee.
I wish McKenna was here to speak on your behalf of your activities. And I'd say there's a lot of kitchen dancing.
Kitchen dancing, bathroom dancing, just really it's any room of the house that she's in and not wanting to particularly be bothered. That's where the dancing is happening.
When you sense she wants some alone time or she's focused, that's where you go and break the focus.
Cooking dinner, brushing teeth, whatever. It's dance time.
I love it.
Hey, man, tell me something good.
Travis Duke, we started this, the summer March of 2020 as all audio. Mm-hmm. And a lot of negativity back then. There's still some negativity if you were to look and judge the world by Twitter or any social media platform. But we're here to uplift. And whoever listens or views TD, man, life is too good. There's too many positive things out there for us to just frown and criticize every day. Tell me something good that's going on that you see in your world.
Oh, man, there's too many to count, mainly because I keep tying back to Augie Garrido. One of the things that he always tied into us was to find that positivity, especially in a game of failure. One thing good, particularly in my life, my wife Mackenzie and I contracted on our first home back here about 2-3 weeks ago. New build gets built in August, and through this process, which is arguably one of the most stressful times in anybody's life, we have met so many people that have gone out of their way to not only be helpful to us, but to be polite, to be joyful, and to pass that joy on to an otherwise extremely, extremely stressed out Travis Duke, which was not fun for my poor wife to endure. But just the amount of people we've interacted with throughout that process that take the time to say, maybe having a bad day, I may be feeling aches, pains, may have something going on behind the scenes, but I'm not going to let that bleed into how I treat others. And I think that's something that we need a real reality check in, not only as a country, as a world, is how you interact and how you treat others, because that makes all the difference in the world. You pass on happiness, you pass on kindness, you pay it forward. Much like baseball, it's a bleeding effect, and it's a pattern that catches on. I believe joy and happiness is as well.
That is well stated, my friend. A lot of people, if you just speak it to its existence, it's repetition. We're human. Negative things are going to present themselves, but how we respond to it, as you said 3 times, that's half the battle.
Absolutely. And then I have one silly thing that plays very well into tell me something good.
Please do.
If you ever wake up one morning or you're getting ready, you're drinking your coffee, you're showering, you're on the way to work, and you're finding yourself being extremely negative or feeling negative, throwing yourself a pity party, I've got a challenge for you. Look at any mirror. Now, if you're driving in a rearview mirror, let's be cautious, be cognizant when you're driving. But if you're at your house, bathroom mirror, kitchen mirror, wherever it is, look at yourself in the eye in the mirror and fake laugh for 10 seconds. And I guarantee you, if you have not cracked a smile or actually started genuinely laughing by the end of it and aren't in a substantially better mood, I'll give you my direct number to tell me you're wrong and that was really dumb. Please don't make me do that again.
Oh my God. The fake laugh in the mirror, Travis Duke.
That's something I picked up on from high school, a high school friend, and it has never done me wrong.
Sage words of advice. I really do. That's sage advice right there. We take things too seriously.
Absolutely. You can't take yourself too seriously. You can't take life too seriously. And I break my own promise and I break my own words on that far too often. It's something I work on every day, but little things like the fake laugh and having a best friend and unwaveringly supportive wife definitely help with that.
Man, I love it. And I love the fact that I'm genuine when I say this. I know you and I talked, we were going to do a 30-minute episode. I'm glad that we almost doubled it.
Me too. We could get on here for 4 hours and talk. I've got time and I've got plenty to say. Believe me, the big body, there's a lot of words stored up in here.
So we're going to have Travis back. He is a good baseball mind, good sense of humor. I mean, we could just do an episode on the bullpen and trying to truly alter people's minds. Try not alter, but pick people's brains and figure out what they're thinking in a piece of video.
Absolutely. And I think this is just a way that we can reach a new demographic by giving people that otherwise wouldn't have this kind of insight into the game, the ability to get a peek behind the curtain, as it were, to learn what really goes on in locker rooms and bullpens and dugouts to a certain extent.
Yeah. And in some things you signed a no disclose. You can't say certain things. I get it. Yep. You know, the locker room and the bullpen, it's sacred.
Yep.
I get it. But we'll dive deeper into it and you'll reveal a little bit.
Absolutely. No NDAs will be violated, but some information should be shared for sure. More fun stories on the way.
Well, I can't wait. We're going to do this, man. It's going to be a good little partnership and man, much love, TD, to you and your lovely bride, and thanks for coming on for an episode of Stories Inside the Man Cave.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Can't wait to be back, and thank you to all the wonderful sponsors that help make this possible, and thank you, Sean.
Hey, buddy, you have a good week. Hopefully we get this dropped before the big game tonight. Texas LSU, a rare midweek game between an SEC and Big 12 power or two national powers. It's only because LSU was played in the Round Rocks Carbach Classic. Mm-hmm. Only made sense for them to stay in town and sign to play a midweek game with Texas.
Absolutely. A glimpse at what's to come here in a couple of years.
That's right. Hey, for the Travis Duke, the pride of Shreveport, Louisiana, that being Stevie Lee and the OG Man Cave boys, that being Hardball Hards, Big Mike, and Coach Mo. You do the honors, Travis Duke. We say we out.
Longhorn Nation, Stories Inside the Man Cave Nation, we out.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up.